the text over here, hip sway. It says the lateral movement of the hips toward or away from the target. And of course, we don't want to move away. We want to move toward. So what's the conclusion? The lower the handicap, the more the hips have swayed toward the targeted impact, closer to the professional golfer, or 1.6 inches toward the target. So right here, the tour pro or good golfer moves 1.6 inches toward the target, but the average amateur golfer moves almost a half inch away from the target. Now, if you're moving toward the target, the hands are leading, which activates what? It activates the offset, lie angle, lofts, kick points, shaft flex. It activates everything in the golf club. Now, if you're moving away from the target, none of those technologies are activated. See, and that's the bottom line. So what does GolfTEC do? GolfTEC says, okay, well, let's give you a little 3-minute video and hook you up to sensors. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the whole 3-minute video, but what I'm saying is, after you're all hooked up to sensors, notice what's being said, okay? And I'm going to back it up maybe about 5 seconds here. So notice what's being said here.
First, don't do that. Meanwhile, the best ones, as they hit the ball, would continue to move their hip sensor and their hips away from the shaft and towards the target. He's also got his shoulders tilted slightly to the right, too. That's the form of good players. So a really good way to practice that would be to set up as you normally do.
Okay. Could he take an extra 6 seconds and explain the setup real quick again for us? Because, we've got families, we've got careers. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they I hear that a lot, Terry. It's take your normal setup and then, after that it's just like, well, how do the normal setup for most people is wrong.
Right. That's the point. So if this gentleman was a little more knowledgeable, he could, I can explain the setup in about 6 seconds. Now, I'm not saying that, what does that mean? It simply means that you've heard me say it over and over on this network for years. The 6-second reminder could be an aha moment at any time for any 2-6er on this network. And that's the point. But if I just said, just take I would never say because there is no normal setup. There's only the right way setup. Okay. I mean, and I'll get bashed for saying that. Well, how can you say there's only one way to set up? Well, because our anatomies are all the same. I mean, let's just be honest. Our anatomies are the same. Our shoulders are wider than our hips. You show me one person that their shoulders are more narrow than their hips. Okay. So if that's the case, there's only a certain way you have to set up so you can what? So you can match those two anatomies to your anatomy. See, like this gentleman here in this video, his shoulders are wider than his hips, but that's not going to be addressed. But yet that's the most important way, because when you look at my impact position, it's better than any of the data they have on GolfTEC. So I think I know what I'm talking about when I say I know how to get in this position without just telling you what to do. I can tell you how it's done. See that, and that's the bottom line. Can you all see that, my impact?
Yep.
Okay. So let's go through this guy here. And of course, they're promoting their sensors and things. But they want you to come in. I'm not saying that they're a for-profit business. I guess I'm a for-profit business too. It's just I don't have any overhead. Only overhead I got is this little cheap, camera and this microphone that's a little bit better that's on my Mac, and everything else is paid for. I've just got sweat equity. I just got, hey, let me sit down and do a Zoom until I go practice golf. I mean, go practice what I preach and tell everybody how it's going. Okay, so here we go. So we don't want to be like the guy in the red shirt. We don't want to do that. So let's see how GolfTEC kind of steps us through here real quick.
Players. So a really good way to practice that would be to set up as you normally do, push your hips towards the target, push the butt end of the club towards the target, and just chip the ball down the fairway, keeping your shoulders tilted to the right in the follow through, just like he's done here. Now that's a really good place to start, but ultimately you need to start hitting these balls harder and faster, trying to recreate that same feel. So that's the form expert golfers use. You see them displayed on TV every single week on the PGA Tour. So learning how the hip sway and the shoulder tilt will help your game is
Hip sway and shoulder tilt. So the only thing that I got from this is my hips are going to sway and I want to keep my shoulders tilted to the right after impact. Now, I don't know if he's going to tell you any more, any less, but I can tell you I do have some video, of what some 2-6ers sent me with their actual golf tech lessons. And really it's no better than this. It's just that if Cody Jones goes in there or if Elliot Thompson goes in, you guys may have different hip sway angles that they're going to address. But the only thing they're going to tell you is you got to get your shoulders more tilted to the right through impact. And you've got to get your hips moving more toward the target. That's basically all they're going to say. Now, let's back this up a little bit here. Here's what happens. So let's see this guy, whoever this guy, I'm sure he's another golf tech instructor who's swinging the club.
you do.
Let's
Push your hips towards the target,
let's see
push
his
the butt
swing.
end of the club towards the target, and just chip the ball down the fairway, keeping your shoulders tilted to the right in the follow through, just like he's done here. Now that's a
So I'm gonna look at his full swing.
really good place to start, but ultimately you need to start hitting these balls harder and faster, trying to recreate that same feel.
Okay. Okay, so not bad. That's good impact. Head is back. See, nothing has been addressed with how the head position back clears the lead hip. If you want your hip to sway, let's just use their term. If you want your hip to sway toward the target 1.5 inches, you ain't going to get there by trying to move it yourself. You've got to have a force on top of your hip that forces it to go 1.5 inches toward the target. And right here, this gentleman's head is in great position right here. See, I'm not saying these guys don't have decent swings. So I'm not saying these guys are like, every one of these guys at Golf Techs are like 25 handicap. I'm not saying that. All I'm simply saying is that quit telling us just effect golf and tell us what the cause is. Because again, I can look at this guy's swing here, right here, and you all see it. I can look, where'd it go? Where'd it go? See, I'm trying to get off fancy. And I don't know where it went. Okay, trying to get off. Okay, so I can look at this guy's swing right here. Are they trying to get me to buy something? Okay, hold on. They're trying to get me to book. All right, they're trying to get me to book something. I don't want to book anything. Anywho,
So here's the deal. It's really hard to find a good starting point when you're struggling with your game.
hold on a second.
Now at Golf Tech, we've measured hundreds of thousands of golfers, and we really know what it takes to be better at golf.
Okay.
Years of skill.
Hold on
These
just a
are the
second.
places you should start if you're.
Okay. Let me refresh this page real quick. Maybe I won't be able to get it. Anyway, what's my point? Okay, let's just the guy's swing here that in the shirt, in the blue shirt, was the same as the guy in the green shirt. So all I'm simply saying is, what's the cause? So if I'm in Golf Tech and I'm posing as a beginning golfer, I'm going to say, well, what's going to make me get my hip 1.5 inches toward the target? What's going to make me do that? Well, you just got to get it there. Well, okay. Is there something that can like do it for me? Well, no. What do you mean do it for you? You see my point? But yes, there is something. See, the something is this. And again, this is 26101. Because the head is here, this head is weighted. It's very weighted. It's about 15 pounds of dead weight on your trail side. And so as the club, as your downswing starts here and that weight slows down the right side, it's going to force this hip to rotate 1.5 inches toward the target. See, if they would tell you that, then you could have something to go home and chew on. Instead of just saying, well, if you just get your shoulders tilted to the right and I don't know what else he said, but that's my point. See, they're not giving you anything to chew on because they do want you to buy, I guess, a 10 lesson package for $2,600, whatever, and I guess people are doing it. But all I'm saying is after I know a couple of my members, after they went through their package, they're no better than what they were. But they certainly they're going to put you on the monitor. So they say, well, look, Stephen, your hips are only rotating 1 inch toward the target. Look, Chris B, your hips are rotating only, 1/2 inch toward the target. Well, you go home and work on that. See, that's what I'm saying. So to understand what you need to chew on is everything in golf. Because remember this. Let me move this over real quick. Remember this, if I can. So look at my picture here. Can everybody see my picture?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I took this and put these graphics, let me erase this. Put these graphics right here. Okay. My impact position is just like this, the green shirt impact position. It's almost identical. But see, I can tell you how to get there. I just don't tell you to get there. Now, whether you go out and you do what I say is whole nother story. But at least you understand the blueprint. At least somebody's giving you the directions. Now, so I don't want you to go home and put that desk together and have 4 screws left over. Okay, I don't want you to go home and do that. I want you to use every screw that's in the instruction package. Because if you've got some screws left, I remember me and Reggie will put stuff together and we think, well, maybe it's extra. Maybe they just thought maybe we would like strip the Allen wrench or something. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes that's how we reasoned, you see. But I don't want you to reason like that. You have to reason like every position and club and body position matter. You see. So, so my thing is the normal setup. So if you looked at if you didn't know this was impact, you would almost think that this is my setup position. It's almost the exact mirror of my setup position. So if I go back here and let me do some quick annotations here. How does that lead hip get out of the way? Well, there's my head position there. Okay, it's 15 pounds of dead weight. It's 15 pounds. It's locking my entire right side down. So as my trail elbow moves straight to my target line. Let me just say straight. Let me just leave it like that. Because if I do that, see that says it's dropping. So let me do this. As my trail elbow, hold on just a second. As my trail elbow moves straight to my target line, the 15 pounds of dead weight locks back my right side. And if my whole right side is locked down, and this is 2-6 from 5-6 years ago, if my whole right side, or for the trail side, for you left-hand golfers, if your whole trail side is locked down, you got to understand what's locked down is your trail shoulder, your trail hip, your trail knee, and basically your foot. All these elements right here are locked down. They cannot move. Now, if you do that right, then guess what? Then the whole lead side has to release. The shoulder has to release. The hip has to release. The left knee releases. Everything releases on the lead side. Again, that's 26101 from 6 years ago. See, and I'm still basically saying the same thing. So the responsibility now is on how hard do you want to work this. I know it probably feels good. I'm not saying you all, but if you are, I know it feels good to spend $2,600, walk into the strip mall and get hooked up to the sensors and say, let's get down to business. Well, you ain't going to get down to business because there is no business to get down to except you giving them $2,600. So if you want to get down to business, then you got to watch me on the golf course and do it real time. And then think, how do I do that? Because he's telling me how to do it. Oh, that feels awkward. Well, if it feels awkward, that means you're getting down to business. That's what I'm saying. If it feels awkward, that means you are getting down to business. And I think that's what everybody wants. So this whole study here goes from everything: shoulder tilt, hips, all top of the backswing position. See, it's everything here. So I could literally do a whole course on this and just break it down with their data. Thank you, Golf Tech, for this data. You just didn't think anybody could come around and really show you how to teach it. You see, this position here is a little bit too dramatic for me. That's a little too much load, but hey, it's better than this. It's better than the right picture. Okay. So that's what happens. Okay. Any questions? Any questions so far?